I'm pretty sure it's like illegal some places to record without asking. And I was like, the last thing I need is like 117 episodes of me, because it's legal in Maryland, but like California, like if you call, like, or if they call you, it is illegal if you like screen record or record your fall. And I was like, man, I talk to people from everywhere. All I need is some disgruntled asshole in 10 years to be like, hey, look, that podcast worked out. I'm gonna sue his ass. So, yeah. So,
for a lot of money.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, well, right now they got nothing to sue me for. June 17th, 1:09 p.m. Eastern Time, TPC 117 with Dr. Robert Bednarz, my friend, my COVID expert. And
COVID expert, far from it, but I'm glad to talk about it.
Hey man, you are an expert compared to me, because I can only take in what the clearly corrupt and biased media tells me. So one side tells me it's a hoax, the other side tells me it's the end of the world. No one's really in between. So because of that, you're my expert. So
sounds good.
Yeah. So for everyone listening, this is Dr. Robert Bednarz, the host of The Patient Will See You Now, and I've linked it before, and actually, that's private information. I have two people that I want to get on your podcast, two friends of mine who I think would be interesting guests for you.
Awesome, definitely. Yeah. I'm just waiting for a mic stand.
Yeah.
I got all my new microphone equipment. I'm just waiting for this mic stand to come in, and I'll be ready to record again. I got some interesting people to record, so I'm excited.
See my microphone? It's on an old GPS box stacked on top of a copy of Watchmen and a hardcover of a history of Pixar. So
this is mine. I just got this one recently.
Damn, son.
Nice. Yeah, I'm going pro.
Joe Rogan quality, man.
It's gonna be good.
Man.
So tell me, let's talk COVID for a bit.
Oh yeah, dude. So what is happening? Because last time we talked, you were self-isolating. And that was a while ago.
It's funny to talk to you because, like, this was like in March.
Yeah, this was a while ago.
3 months ago.
Oh yeah.
But it was so much has happened between March and now, and I'm not even talking COVID, but everything else that, like, I could easily, like, if you told me everything that happened between March and June, I would be like, oh, did we not talk for like 2 years?
No, I know, right? Dude, that's what's been going on with guests is it's got to a point where, like, we'll name the date. So that's what I did at the beginning of the podcast. We'll be like, right now, like 3 weeks ago, I had on my friend, and we were like, right now, the biggest thing is COVID. And we're like, what's next? Because we don't know. A week later, we're talking, and we're like, all right, now America's on fire because an hour after that podcast is when George Floyd died. And it was just, you couldn't see it. And now it's like, okay, what's going on now? And then yesterday morning, he woke up, and it was like North Korea blew up their liaison office, and there was a skirmish between China and India. 43 Chinese soldiers dead. And I was like, okay, so you're right. What the hell is next? So
I'll just talk about COVID.
Sure.
And I don't know any of that stuff too much of what's going on, but I can tell you what's going on in COVID and in my area of Scotland, which is in Dundee. And right now, from working there, in one side of it, it's awesome because we barely see any more patients with COVID, which is great.
Awesome.
We were part of this recovery trial. It was called Recovery, where we trialed like all these different medications to see which ones worked. So some of them being like hydroxychloroquine was on there, the HIV medication, which I mentioned before, and dexamethasone was one of the medications we tried. And I don't know if you've seen the news recently, but that is the medication of choice.
Really?
At the moment. That showed the best results. So some numbers, people who are, so these are for people who've been on dexamethasone for 10 days. Give me 1 second.
You're good. Go get it. Dr. Bednarz being called by beeping in the other room.
Hello? Yeah.
It seems to be some cell phone of sorts. The NSA is listening, and a Hellfire missile is about to kill us both. We've been talking about classified medications, and this could be our final moments. I see the Predator drone in the sky. I don't know what I'm doing. So, for everyone listening, this is Robert. He went to medical school in Poland, and he's living in Scotland now. And he's back. He's got a box.
I just got a package.
Yeah,
it's not the mic. It's not the mic stand.
God damn it!
I got a package.
Yeah, I was. Yeah.
So
okay, yeah.
Back to the dexamethasone. So some numbers, and I'll tell you what it is. Dexamethasone, for people who have been on it for 10 days, people who have been on ventilation, they found a 35% improvement in people who've been taking dexamethasone, and people who are just on oxygen, they found a 20% improvement. And people who just had like some symptoms of coronavirus were found positive. It's not really too much of a help. So dexamethasone is a good medication for people who are on oxygen or on ventilation, especially on ventilation. And they found that like for every 8 people that could die from COVID, they could save at least 1 life. So that's already an improvement from where we're going at. Yeah.
12.5%.
So dexamethasone is a really old drug. It's safe. It's just a steroid. It's just another steroid like prednisone. It acts similarly. And I remember when I was doing my pediatrics award with kids, like we would give it with kids for kids who have like respiratory illnesses like croup. Mm-hmm. Croup is caused by a virus called parainfluenza usually, and they have like this barking cough when they cough with that. And we give dexamethasone to help them out. So it's safe, as you can, like for kids and for adults. If you take it for a long time, the side effects of steroids are terrible, but this is just a 10-day treatment and it helps a lot. So it's cheap, it's extremely cost effective because it's generic, and you can get it anywhere. So that's like the big news improvement at the moment, that dexamethasone is showing some really good effects, at least here. I don't know what they're going to do in the States. I know that in the States, you guys are still kind of in a hellhole in terms of cases and deaths. I know it's getting better in some parts, but some parts are getting worse. I don't know if that's because of the protests, because that obviously is a thing. We can't avoid it with people going out there and just going to protest and like not respecting the 6 feet rule. I guess you guys have. We call it 2 meter rule here. So that's it. But here in Tayside, I said that there's 2 sides. That the good side is that there's no one here, but like for me, it's just there's no patience for me to see now. So
you're out of business, man.
So I'm not learning since I just started becoming a doctor. I'm not learning too much. We get patients that come in that like, they might have COVID because they have like maybe a new cough or a fever or maybe some shortness of breath. But again, these are people who have like COPD or asthma or some other kind of issue going on. So like, all right, cool. It doesn't really sound like COVID to begin with, but I see where your thinking is at. Let's just better safe than sorry. And then we swabbed them. Have you been swabbed for COVID yet?
I have not been tested. I have shit since we last talked, man. I think I've gone to the grocery store twice, fully decked out. I have not left my house in like 3.5 months, man.
Really?
Dude, I walk around my neighborhood for exercise. Gym is closed. My parents been working from home. My dad just went back to the office this week. I've been inside for like close to like 100 days, man. I've just been walking a mile in the morning doing push-ups. So I don't have it, and I historically get very, very sick. Sicker than my 3 siblings. I always get sick. So if I don't have it, then I don't think I could be asymptomatic. I think if I got it, I'd probably be the statistic, like 29-year-old man dies from COVID. So no, I have not been. I hope not. I have not been swabbed because, dude, I haven't. Whatever episode you were, like 60, 70. Now we're on 117, man. Dude, I've been in this room.
That's good because, like, the swabbing part, like, so now as the part of the protocol is when you go see a patient and you don't know if they have COVID, they go into their own room, like a side room, we call it, so that they don't infect anybody else if they're possibly infected, and just all these kind of rules. So what we would do is we would bring everything in at once. So we would do like all our blood tests. We would bring our stethoscopes to do our examinations. We would bring the swab. And I always tell them, like, before, like, let's just get this out of the way because this is going to be the worst part of this examination.
Yeah.
It sucks that it's the only way at the moment to check if somebody's positive for COVID. Now we got these antibody tests, which we're trialing to see, which I'll explain how that works, but we're trialing to see if it even makes sense to do it, which I'll get into. But the swab it's a long Q-tip.
Oh, I know.
I know there are like some talks.
I know what the
Trump
swab
calling
is.
it a Q-tip.
Oh, Jesus.
But yes, but there's a long swab. It's a long swab, and it's got like these bristles at the end of it that are just not fun.
Yeah.
And it goes. So the way we do it is we take it and we go straight to the back of your throat, and we try to get some, just a couple of a sample in the back of your throat. Take it out, and it goes straight back to your nose with the same swab, and we go straight down into your nose, and it's like this much going into your head.
Oh, dude,
you know? It's a lot.
I got my tonsils out in 2014 at age 24 because I think I had strep throat twice a year for like 24 years. I'm familiar with the swab. Earliest memories are just yeah. Oh yeah.
It's not. It's so I tell them, like, it's not pleasant. Like, you'll gag, you'll tear up.
Yeah.
And for me, it's like, if they don't tear up, I don't feel like I did a good enough swab.
Get back here. Yeah. Yeah.
And that's happened too. So like in the beginning with newer doctors, or like people who are just unfamiliar with how the testing works, because it was like a new thing that we had to do it so much that we wouldn't swab well enough. So the test would come back negative, but then later the patients turned out to be positive, and they would just go infect a whole bunch of other people, and like, crap, we didn't catch it. You know, so we were really like strict on how we do our swabs, and that's really important. And now we're trying out for antibodies, and it sucks a bit because we got this the machine to check for antibodies a little bit late, because in the beginning of April, that's when it was like the most hectic in our hospital. We had 5 wards open, which is about, I don't know, like a little over 200 patients with COVID at the time. And it was hectic. It was really hectic. We were trying, and, you know, the rules were changing every single day in terms of policy, what can be done, what can't be done, how we should do this. Like, and we're trying to keep up to date. Like, I get 20 emails a day, like, what's going on with COVID in the hospital. It was really hectic and trying to keep up. And what they're doing now is they're finding people. Right now, it's just healthcare workers, because they're around, and they find people who were previously tested and were positive by the test, and they will check them for antibodies, because logically, if they were positive with COVID already, they should have antibodies already formed in their blood to fight against it. It does take time. The window is different for everybody. It just how well your immune system reacts to it. And we're finding that some people who are positive with the COVID swab are negative with the antibody. And the only explanation we have at the moment, like, it could be the machine, but we found some people positive. But we think that the window wasn't long enough for us to check the person for them to form antibodies, because it is a slow process. It's not like immediately you were infected, oh my God, you'll get it again. You know, that's like the whole thing with the flu vaccine. You know, it's like people feel like, for example, they think that they'll get the flu vaccine and then, oh, the flu vaccine gave me the flu. Yeah. And it's like, that doesn't work. It's you just happen to have gotten infected with the flu by the time you got your flu vaccine, unfortunately. You know, and that happens a lot. So that's the same thing with this coronavirus. You know, and I know this will happen too. It's guaranteed. Once the vaccine comes out, whenever that does, whoever wins that race, people will get the coronavirus vaccine, and then later they'll be like, oh, I got the coronavirus because of the vaccine. And it's like, we already told you, there's a 2-week incubation period. Oh, yeah. So you could have been carrying this already since last week or 2 weeks ago, or whatever, and then you just happen to have gotten the vaccine at a bad time, and you're getting coronavirus symptoms because there's a window for your antibodies to be made against the virus so that you can fight it naturally. It's not like an instantaneous thing. But I'm excited. I haven't gotten tested at all either. I didn't have a need to. The policy, when we talked last time, I was in quarantine because I had a cough. But the policy at the time was not to test healthcare staff workers because of the limitations of supplies that we have. And we were just trying to get our patients. So I just kind of isolated myself, since mine was kind of mild anyway. It was just a cough, nothing going on. I was fine. So I don't even know if I had it. And they won't swab me now because it's pointless. So there's no need for me to be swabbed or anything like that. And the number of patients that we have that are COVID positive are so low. We're just really happy with that fact. And now we're just expecting for the worst, which is the second wave.
Yeah. Is it? So I had a guy on yesterday, and he said that China is starting to shut down universities because they're getting a second wave. And I mean, dude, it's so my naive ass 2 weeks ago. I was like, let's look for the silver lining in like the George Floyd protests and death, because everyone's at each other's throats. I was like, what's the silver lining? Maybe there's 2 weeks of protesting and there isn't a spike in cases. Maybe there's herd immunity. Like, there could be something beautiful. Didn't happen. So my starry-eyed, like, maybe there's something in this. Nope, nothing. Apparently a lot of states in the United States are recording record highs. And it's like, yeah. So
I used to keep up to date every day with like the states and the cases, and because I was waiting to see when it's going to start falling.
Nope.
And like I day by day, I'm like, it's not going to stop. It's just not stopping. There's no point in me watching anymore.
Last week, one of my guests, I was like, we're at 100,000 dead, and he flipped open his phone. He's like, we're at 117,000 dead, and I've been quoting that statistic for a couple days now. I bet that's incorrect now. It's
look at it. Yeah.
Let's don't look it up yet. Don't look it up yet. Take a guess. I say 121
in US deaths.
Yeah.
My guess will be 117 was when?
It was at least 2 days ago. I think longer, maybe 3 or 4 days ago. Might have been Sunday.
Okay, I think I might say 120.
Okay.
If yours is
you
bastard. The price is right.
You bastard.
I'll go one up there. $1.
All right. Yeah, 120,999.
USA. Oh, we're both wrong. 119. That's good.
Oh, that's awesome. I'm glad we're wrong. I'm glad
we're not as bad as we thought.
Okay, that's beautiful. Well, let's hope that there's not. Let's hope that this isn't the wave building. It's
and I'm using the Worldometers one. It's totally accurate, but the number doesn't have to be accurate. You're just looking for the trend to see how much is it going up on these numbers, how much is it going down. The exact number we'll never get. We'll never get the exact number because we won't know. Because that was an issue with us too, actually. Because so most of the people who had COVID, the majority is because they had some other comorbidity. They had some heart disease, some lung disease already, something going on with them, old age, diabetes. And that was the majority of our patients. And like, they would have probably already died from that disease, but COVID just kind of sped it up faster.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. And then on the death certificate, we write COVID.
Yeah. Well,
because that's just the thing.
Technically, that's what happened. Yeah.
And I can see how that can skew some of the results of these numbers. Do I think it's like, and everyone's saying like, oh, there's a drop in cardiac arrests in the hospital, a drop in heart failure and heart attacks. And it's because like that whole thing is some patients were totally afraid to come to hospital. So that was an issue.
Yeah.
They if they're having a stroke, which happened a few times, people were having a stroke at home, but they were just too afraid to come to hospital because they thought the COVID was going to be worse than the stroke.
Oh, Jesus.
So there were like adverts and stuff saying like, if you're experiencing symptoms, come to the hospital. It's like, don't like
stroke will kill you faster. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, we want to take care of you. It's not, it's not terrifying to come to the hospital. I know COVID's around and your chances of getting it for coming to the hospital is relatively higher, but you can possibly die by not showing up.
Yeah. It's probably, would you say from as an MD, would you say that it is probably better that a lot of these are being chalked up to COVID because it's like, let's just be safe? Like, on one hand, you could argue it's artificial because it's like a 94-year-old with COPD and they got COVID. It's like, was it really, this was going to happen anyway? On the other hand, is it just better to be like, let's assume this is more lethal than it is, and then because it's much better, that's much more safe to be when it's a global pandemic. It's much safer to be like, let's assume it's worse than it is, right? Let's assume the nuke is bigger than it is and dig the bunker deeper, right? It's what do you think?
So I've thought about that before too, and I keep going back and forth. It's really difficult because even when we had swine flu coming out, SARS, not the bird flu, but
H1N1,
swine and SARS. I think those were the biggest ones that like the U.S. was kind of afraid of, and Ebola for like a short period. Zika. That was like a 2-week thing.
Yeah.
Never did you see countries shutting down stores, governments shutting down, the economy completely collapsing, or lack of, I don't know, I don't understand stocks, how it's still going up and people don't have jobs.
Me neither.
I don't, that's why I'm not, whoever is like the
black magic
economics, I would like to know how that works. Yeah. I'm interested.
Black magic.
It is bad though. Like, no matter which way you're going to look at it, you've infected the whole world with this virus, and it's killing people at a faster rate at whatever it's doing. Like we know it's causing lung damage, of course, and like we still don't know the long-term effects, which is another thing. So because that's going to be studies years out from now on. This is not a short-term thing. It's not like once we get a vaccine, it's done. Like this virus is not only a pandemic, but it's going to most likely be an endemic, which means it's just going to be kind of around the whole time, kind of like the flu. It's going to keep coming back.
It's just a shitty character recurring.
But it won't be as bad because we'll have a vaccine for it, hopefully, right? And then
it's like chicken pox or something. Like it's still here, but everyone's like, is that a bad example?
Not necessarily. Like chickenpox, we also in the States at least, it's one of the mandatory vaccines to have when you have a kid. Well, not mandatory. You could choose not to have a vaccine for the anti-vaxxers.
Yeah. Special place in hell for them. But
like so it's hard to tell, because another question I keep asking myself is like the bird flu that happened 100 years ago, right? 1918. That kind of just went away.
Yeah.
The only explanation I can think of for that is that those mutations happen so fast in the flu. That's why every year you get the flu vaccine, because it's just it's not 100%. It's just a very educational guess of what they think the next flu strains will be. The flu virus strains are going to be. So it's just a really good guess. And the efficiency is anywhere from like 40 to 80%, something like that. So they either like nail it, like, oh, we got the strain, we were lucky, or they're like, crap, we totally missed it, and then a lot of people get the flu, regardless if you got the vaccine. But it just decreases your chances of getting the flu if you get the flu vaccine. Whereas the coronavirus, it doesn't. I mean, from what I understand, I'm not like an infectious disease specialist. But it doesn't mutate as fast. So like with the flu, we know that every year the strain is different. Whereas with coronavirus, you had like MERS and SARS back in the day. And I think there was one more. I can't remember off the top of my head. And then now it's COVID. And it hasn't changed so much every year. Again, I remember back in January when this wasn't even a thing in the States or anywhere else yet. My friends messaged me and they're like, yo, did you hear about this new coronavirus that's going to kill everyone? I'm like, the coronavirus causes the common cold.
Yeah.
Like your sniffles and cough and what puts you in bed for a few days, that's the common cold. It's coronavirus. You have two, coronavirus and rhinovirus. Uh-huh. So I'm waiting for like the big rhinovirus thing. But now it's this huge thing, whereas when you hear about the flu is like, I'm out for a week. I'm in bed. I got some night sweats. It's terrible to have the flu for a week. And that happens every year. Whereas coronavirus, people get it. It's a mild thing. So it's all of this is so interesting. And I'm waiting. Now it's just waiting for studies. And like what sucks in the scientific community is that people now really just want to be first instead of right.
Yeah.
So they're releasing all these articles where like the hydroxychloroquine.
Yeah.
So many people, and like, I was part of that like group too. It's like, oh man, hydroxychloroquine is showing some beneficial results, and then they're like, actually, we have to retract it because the results aren't really that. And we're like, God damn it!
Oh yeah,
Like, why? We're like, what was the point? Just so you could be first? And now you look like an asshole.
Yeah, exactly. No, it is. But one thing I like about this podcast, among many things, I love this podcast. But one thing, I thought my microphone was off. I was like, how is he hearing me if my microphone's turned on? One thing I like about this is, man, it forces me to be humble, which is good because I'm a cocky, arrogant asshole. Is like back in January, there's me being like, look, I got into med school, all right? This is just a cold. And then it's like, oh man, it's getting closer. And then it's like, I would like to apologize. So like, yeah, man, no, I'm with you, man. Whether it's hydroxychloroquine or yeah, just being like, this isn't that bad. Hey man, it's I think a lot of us were wrong and kind of got to own that. It's I'll edit this out. I gotta go piss so bad. Let me write down a timestamp. All right. So yeah, yeah, everyone wants to be first rather than right, which
that whole thing. It's just such a bummer that like we've come to this where everybody just wants like I feel like we live in this world now that you need to be known. Yeah. Whether it's in the scientific community or on TikTok, whatever you're using now, or even podcasting, whatever you want it to be, you need to pick your poison. Like people just want to be the first to call out something because then they'll be known in that case. And I think there's this great book. I totally recommend it. I just started reading it, but so far it's really good to get into. It's called Thinking Fast and Slow.
Okay. Write it down.
And it's basically like, what's like an example that they can, there's a lot of examples in there. I'm trying to think of one on top of my head. Like, let's say, you have a picture of a woman that's like really angry. And it's like, you can see immediately that she looks angry. She looks like she's just going to yell at me or something like that. And that's like your immediate fast thinking, where your slow thinking is taking a step back and trying to think like, okay, is she actually really, could it be something like, why is she angry? And you're trying to delve deeper. You're trying to take a step back and think a second longer what this could be. And that'll give you better results, like a better perspective of what's going on. And like, that's just another thing with these things where it's like people just in world, in society now, people just want to do things fast because it's easy. It's like you don't have to think much to get to it. Like you're either right or wrong.
Yeah.
A lot of these things that like Trump said, like, and I keep using Trump as an example. I'm a Democrat, but he's just such a great example for a lot of things.
Dude, he's a moron.
And I try to step back and like try to understand why he says these things. And in a way, I'll get to that in a second. But like, so he says a lot of things that like he wasn't able to own up to. But he says it just to get a quick reaction out of people because it's that fast thinking, and people will react to that, and that's fine.
Keep the spotlight.
If it hasn't happened yet, they'll forget that he even said that
because he says the next thing. No, dude.
He said the next thing.
Dude, I'll tell you, as someone, as I grow and change, I switch back and forth. Right now, I'm currently a little more conservative, but dude, I'll be the first to say, I'll be like, dude, I just look at Trump and I'm like, shut the fuck up, man. Just God, like there is something to be said for being more presidential and reserved, and not just like fake news, idiot, sad, ugly wife, and it's like, oh no. But
it's because of that he understands his demographics so well.
Oh yeah.
Or like that's not the right way to say it. Not his demographic, but like he knows what will trigger people faster and get those, because it's your emotion. Your emotions is what's going to
limbic system
make you do the choices that you're going to make. It's like because of your emotion, because like you see, let's say you're going out to an electronics store and you see something shiny, like, oh, that's shiny, I'm gonna buy it. That's awesome. And then you take it home, you're like, actually it's crap.
Yeah.
But it's just that emotion that you gave him off immediately, and that's what he does. And in a way, just a tiny piece of me, and I'm like, I know my friends will hate me, but it's like I respect the fact that he's president. Because like not everyone can get there. He's still president.
Oh yeah, no, like or hate the president got to the presidency. Like or hate him.
I'm just like, I can't think of anyone else that could get to that position the way that he did it.
Yeah, no, it's people that are like Obama is a dumb shit, or like George Bush is like, he's mentally challenged. It's like he got to the Oval Office, man. So whatever he is, you are by default below. And it's but there's got to be like, yeah, you're right. There's got to be like there is like, you understand. It's like, I remember in college we had to like write papers about, basically it's like prove me wrong or change my mind. And
I love that.
Yeah, yeah.
I love it when people prove me wrong.
Yeah, no, me
it's
too.
Such a good feeling.
It's a good punch right in the ego. You're like, okay. But some girl was like, Kim Kardashian is not stupid, and everyone was like, all right, let's hear it. And she went on and talked about her businesses and how she makes. And ultimately, it was like, so is she stupid for? Or like this was like 2014. She's like, she earned $60 million in profit last year. And all she does is post pictures on Instagram. Like, if you can figure out how to bring in $60 million by just flicking your phone open, hey, man, like her or hate her, you're talking about her. Is she stupid? And if she is, why don't you do it? So it's...
yeah, exactly.
There's a certain amount you gotta, like, damn, all right, yeah, you're right.
And another thing where it's like people are saying, like, oh, but Trump, like, of course he's president because, like, he has all these connections. I'm like... He wasn't born with these connections. Like, maybe some of it from his father, don't get me wrong, but like he still had to work with these people one way or another for them to be like, all right, this guy's gonna be president.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Or it's like, people right now, it's like, well, if Biden wins, he's just winning off Obama's coattails. And he's like, okay, let's take that and go with it. Why does he have Obama's cool? Because he was the vice president. How did he get to the vice presidency? Because he was chosen to be vice president. Why was he chosen to be? There's 340 million Americans. He got chose.
Exactly.
So yeah,
he was the vice president, not you.
Exactly. Exactly. It's these people aren't stupid. You can hate them, and they could be objectively bad people. Trump might be. So you can hate them and not respect them, but goddamn, like, they're not stupid. They're not stupid. They are not stupid. You can't say that.
You can't say that. They didn't do it because they did it.
Yeah. It's LeBron's a baby. It's like, dude, he's LeBron. There's a reason why he's LeBron. You don't hear the name Tommy. You're not like, there's a reason why he's Tommy. He's LeBron. But we're going way off into the weeds but that's a dangerous thing when you have this reactive, emotional thing that works very well for becoming school president or prom queen or, in this case, president. Science doesn't give a fuck about that, though. And that's bad when we get that I'm first, put out a retraction. You can publish anything now and be like, this guy raped a kid. And then you can put a retraction out a week later. Our sources were incorrect. As long as you technically do that, you're legally in the clear.
The damage is done. And a perfect example of this is, I just got to find the guy's name. I know his last name. Andrew Wakefield.
I don't know who that is.
That's his name. He was a British doctor, and he's infamously known for posting an article in The Lancet, I believe. Yeah, The Lancet, for saying vaccines cause autism.
Oh, no. That's him.
Posted it. Later on, got retracted because a lot of other studies were like, with a lot more people were like, we don't see it. And it got retracted. He's now not a doctor, but the damage is done.
It's done
already.
It's done forever.
People think vaccines cause autism for some of them. You know?
That's still a dangerous thing. But when it comes to like pop culture or celebrity feuds and gossip, or even getting to the presidency, it's also kind of, that's how it's been forever. It's just people talking shit, lying, backstabbing, whatever.
It's been like this, awesome, yeah.
But when it comes to a pandemic, now we're applying this gossipy thing to something that doesn't care. If you put out a tweet and be like, gravity's not real, gravity doesn't care. So you can retract it, but if people start jumping out of buildings, that's a real thing. That gravity, that's 9.81 meters per second squared.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter who's in the office, right? So with a pandemic, or with any, so let's not be political, just with scientists, want to be first. Here's what we're gonna do for COVID. Man, that, if all of a sudden you're sure, this guy said there's a vaccine, you might stop social distancing. Be like, yo, it's good. We're good. We're in the clear. And then you go out and get sick and, kill your grit. Go get it, man.
Gotta pause one more time. Sorry.
You go get it.
Another timestamp.
Dr. Bednar's getting packages left and right. I don't know what he's getting all of his podcast gear. I need to get some podcast gear. If anyone's listening and has some good recommendations, I have a Shure microphone, an MV51, and it's pretty dope. And I've got a 2019 MacBook on a couple shitty fans, but I definitely want to step up my game to get crisper, clearer voices and sounds. So if anyone listening can recommend anything, let me know. I don't think there's anything that's necessarily difficult to find. It's probably just money being a barrier. I'm finished filling the gap. All right, and he's back. But yeah, it's dangerous for the pandemic.
It's dangerous, and it sucks because I feel like Americans have this attitude more. It's all around the world, but I feel like Americans have this attitude more where it's like you need to be first. And with science, it sucks even more because in the States, at least, when it comes to medicine, they have a way to sell it because of the healthcare system being privatized.
Yeah.
They find something and then, okay, we can sell it. We can make money. For people who have money, they will spend it to get it. So it's like if hydroxychloroquine now costs this much money, people who have money that are afraid will go and get it. You know, here in the NHS, which I love so much, I love the NHS. I love the system. It works so well for people. And it gives you the opportunity to have private practices, but like there's no need because the NHS is.
I'm going to text you after this. Actually, I want to have you on again. Let's do an NHS purely. Just teach me what it is. Just do one-on-one. Sorry, I'll make a note of that. I'll make a note of that. But sorry, so you're in the NHS.
So and it's because of the NHS. It's like everybody's going to have the same kind of care. Like you're not going to get. Doesn't matter if you're poor, if you're rich. That doesn't matter. You know, they care that you're going to get the care that you need. And at like a respectable amount of time. So if you're needing, for example, like a knee replacement done, right, to get or a hip replacement. I know in Poland it's also social care, but because the budget for the healthcare system there isn't so much, there's not enough doctors and there's not enough workforce there to do it. So people are waiting like 10 months, 12 months to get their hip replaced. And now they're living day by day. Their hips are getting worse and worse and their bones are hitting each other and they're getting so much pain that it almost forces them to get the money to get the operation done sooner. So that's nice that the option is there if you have the money to do it, but a lot of people can't afford it. And in the NHS, same thing, but it's a lot better. You don't have to wait as long. I think for like a hip replacement, it's somewhere between maybe like 2 to 4 months. So it's not so long. You'll get it done sooner and the care is the same all around. Whereas in the States, depends on your insurance. Do you have a good insurance from your job, or do you have the money? Do you not have insurance? Oh, well, you're gonna have a huge bill after this. Don't worry, we'll give you a payment plan. It was so weird when one time my girlfriend came to visit me here, and I hope she doesn't hate me for saying this, but it's nothing crazy. But like her wisdom tooth got infected. Like one of her wisdom tooth, which the pain wasn't from it coming out, it was just infected, and that was causing her a lot of pain. So on a Sunday morning here in the UK, you can dial 111, and that's like a health line, and you tell them what's going on, and they're like, all right, just stay on the line. They'll call a doctor, tell them what's going on, and then they get you back to you. They're like, all right, go to this hospital at this time in like 2 hours. You're going to see a doctor, and the doctor's going to tell you what to do. I'm like, cool. We go to the place on a Sunday morning, 9 o'clock. We go to the doctor. The doctor sees her, does a full examination, and he's like, cool, writes her up for antibiotics. We go to a pharmacy, get the antibiotics, and we didn't pay a dime.
That's amazing. That is
the whole thing was free. The whole thing.
That is amazing.
She's not even from the UK. She's a Polish citizen that came to visit and got all this done for free.
That's amazing.
Insane.
That's amazing.
I was like, dude, can I give you some money because I feel bad? In the States, if you have, even if you have good insurance, there's a copay.
Oh yeah,
for your doctor's visit, like $20,
dude,
or whatever it is.
It's so much money. It's so much money. It's like when. Actually, we'll say that for a whole nother podcast. But yeah, it's so. What happens with it is thank God that is an undeniably like better system. It's
only because, so don't get me wrong, like I like money, I do, but if I wanted to make money, I would go to the States and I would start a business of some sort, right? I don't mind people wanting to buy something as in terms of an object because they don't need it. You know, like
new iPhone, new iPad.
If you want to go to a fancy restaurant, great. You don't need it. You can make a meal at home.
Yeah.
If you really needed to eat.
Yeah.
You have enough money to have a comfortable life. Health shouldn't be an option whether you can afford it or not. It shouldn't be one of those things like, I want good health. It's like everybody should have the right to be healthy. You know, that's something I feel really bad. I don't want to work in a system that I'm taking money from people so that they can get healthy. And like, I was in that position where I didn't have insurance for a while, so I had to pay antibiotics out of my pocket, you know, when I had strep throat or something like that. And it sucks. And there's a lot of people like that in the States. There's a lot of people who can't afford it. They have a minimum wage job. And this could be for a whole nother podcast episode, but it sucks. And I don't think, if you're working in medicine in the States, it also sucks because going to med school in the States is like costs.
Dude, I got into the University of Miami Miller School of Medicine. I was going to start in August 2014. $80,000 a year
for 1 year, right? Whereas here in the UK, I went to school in Poland, so it was still expensive because I went into an English program in a foreign country, but in the UK, if you're a UK citizen, you go to med school, they just started charging their students not too long. It was like within the 20 years or something. And it's like, sorry, I know it's a lot, but you got to pay £2,000 a year. I'm like, that's a lot? Are you kidding me?
Yeah,
that's less than my community college that I went to.
That's insane. That is insane. I mean, on the other hand, even as someone that doesn't have money, I also get like, look, man, so like when I was 18, the first person I voted for was Obama because I was like, fuck yeah, hope and change. Literally like South Park, hope change. And then after like 4 years,
love South Park.
Hope to shine. But like after, and then going into college and just studying 7 days a week, not drinking, living in a frat house with just fucking living there with just drunk hot sorority girls there every night, but I was going to bed sober, quiet, like gotta wake up, gotta study organic chemistry, doing that for years. Come 2012, I voted for Romney because I was like, dude, I don't want national health care. I was like, people are like, you shouldn't be a doctor for that, and I was like, okay, fuck it, you can hate me. I was like, I'm working this hard, I don't want to take a pay cut. And I got into med school. Eventually didn't go for a completely different, just wasn't happy with it. But in hindsight, I realized, like, man, there's nothing wrong. Like, I don't think there's anything wrong with wanting to make money. In hindsight, I'm like, I agree. It's if you really want to be like a ruthless like capitalist, which I don't think there's any problem with, that's fine. Maybe healthcare isn't the way to do it, right? Maybe taking the Hippocratic oath. That's the way I'm thinking too. So yeah. So I'm the same way. So it's like, if you want, and like, again, I respect people who because people can like money, and I like money as well too. Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, shit comes from it.
Yeah, it's like I would love to start a business of some other kind, maybe like a restaurant or something, but like I don't want to ruthlessly take money from people who need to be healthy.
Exactly. I can make this podcast. Sorry, I'm interrupting you. Sorry, I'm a jackass. Rogan just signed a $100 million deal with Spotify. Not everyone can have Spotify, but it's a luxury. You don't have to have the Joe Rogan experience. It's if you love it, go get it, and cool. Hey, more power to you, Rogan. Getting $100 million, like, the conversations about like DMT and like apes balls, like that's not. You don't need that to survive, right? And it's. But I don't feel bad. So like I don't feel bad like hustling for a podcast and like getting it going, like, because no one needs this. In hindsight, it's like I did want to help people. I think I also really wanted to make money, and it was like, okay, can I really be like, fuck no, healthcare needs to be expensive so I can get my fat paycheck? Like, my uncle who went to Duke Med School is fucking brilliant. I remember him telling me, he was like, what you said, he's like, there's something wrong with wanting to make money. He was like, but if you can get into medical school, you can make the same amount of money doing something else or doing less work. And I was like, okay, I don't need to try to hold medicine hostage. Be like, no, it can't change. We can't, we gotta reverse Obama because I want to make my paycheck. It's like, dude, just take that work ethic, that's 7 days a week, studying for organic chemistry, not drinking with your friends. Take that work ethic and just put it towards something else. And you can be anything a Bezos else. Or an Elon Musk, a Steve Jobs.
That's all it takes. It's just that I 100% agree. Because I remember when I used to be in a band back in the day, and like, I love creating things. I love building things and creating things. The one thing I don't like about being a doctor is that I'm working for someone still.
Yeah.
Like I still have a job, and I am a cost to a system in a way. Like, yeah, I'm providing this great like service to everybody, making sure they get better and getting, taking care of them. But in my money side of things, it's like I'm still working for someone. I would rather work for myself. So I like building things and creating things from scratch. That's why I like having a podcast as well too. Yeah. And like when I had the band, that was the thing too. Is like we literally took 5 random guys, put them together, and just like we made music and we went and toured and stuff. Like there's a product.
Yeah.
Like that was cool. That was really awesome. So I respect people like Mark Zuckerberg and Bezos and all those other people who are making billions and stuff. It's like you can't get there by being a lazy person.
Yeah, you can't.
That took years of work, of dedication, and so much work, days and nights. Like
insane. Bill Gates, dude. There are stories of people that like started Microsoft with him. They're like, I used to put in like 120-hour weeks, and Gates would be there before me and after me, and it'd be like, God. I mean, but there's. When people are always like, what do you need $153 billion for? You're right, you don't need it. But I think that's why these insane things like Amazon same-day delivery, they exist because it's like a video game. Why do you need like a gold-coated AK-47? You don't need it. But because it's a possibility, you're going to get people hustling for it. When it's a possibility to be a billionaire and have a 747 and a private island in French Polynesia, that carrot dangling is how you get people to go, all right, I'm going to fucking I got an idea for something called Macintosh. I got Amazon. It's going to, you look at those pictures of Bezos in like the 90s. He's sitting there at his desk in a garage and it literally says Amazon written with a Sharpie.
At that.
There's another one of him in the 80s of him flipping burgers. And he's literally like, would you like ketchup or honey mustard? And it's like, dude, because you wouldn't slave to create Amazon if you're capped at you can only make $100,000 a year, right?
Exactly.
And there are problems with people being billionaires. It's not perfect.
There's this famous quote that I really enjoy because of the idea of creating this innovation and stuff like that. I really enjoy people who come up with new ideas because, like, if somebody comes up to me and they're like, "I'm creating this thing," I'm like, "What do you need? I'll help you." Yeah. Like, I love new things. And there's this quote by Henry Ford where it's like, if I asked people what they would have wanted, they would have said faster horses.
Yeah.
I love that quote.
You gotta just take it. You just gotta take it and run, man.
He made something that people didn't know they wanted yet.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah. You're right. That's insane. That's insane.
So I'm all for that's why this Facebook. It was unique of its kind. Yeah, there was like Friendster and MySpace and Xanga, whatever you want, all those at the time. But like his was different. And from the years of coding he's done since he was a kid, because he loved it, it wasn't even work for him. I wish I had the work ethic I had I wish I had the work ethic I had the same way I played the amount of video games I did when I was younger.
I know, right? I know,
hours of planning how to beat this boss, day and night, working in teams or whatever.
Tactics,
it's like, and then I remember doing that with the band, day and night, just sitting and doing boring work and just emailing stuff and emailing people, just making sure we get reviews. Can we get the show? Can we get the show for this much? Are we playing with this band or that band? What time? Making negotiate. I loved it. So it might have been boring work for some other people, but this is
the grind.
And you see the results.
Yeah.
And that's what drives you faster. You're yesterday, one person listened to the band or the podcast, one person downloaded it. Cool. Today, three people. I'm doing something right.
Yeah.
Let's keep going.
Dude, when I link my podcast and then I go into YouTube Studio and I see the views and where they're coming from, when I go link it on a certain subreddit or website, and then I see the views come up on here, it's not even that. It's there's such a mouse finding the cheese dopamine reward. I'm like, I got it. And okay, dude, right? You got a Rogan podcast. It's up for 3 minutes and it's got 40,000 views. This is episode 117, started on December 12th, and at 35,000 views total. But you're right. There's something about just grinding, just emailing everyone. Can I get, even with you? It's okay, we're going to do this, mix it around. Get this guy goes here, have this guy on Wednesday. Yeah. Okay, we can flip that. And it's...
You get it. You absolutely
sucks.
get it. Yeah.
It sucks a lot of the time, but it's like a video game where it's oftentimes it's not even beating the boss that you really like. It's just like the play. Okay, fuck it. We're going to try it for the 1100th time. Yeah. We're going to try a different tactic. Put the sentry gun here. I'm going to flashbang them. You come here. That is the fucking... You don't want to admit it, but that's what you love. You love the grind.
But you know what it is about that? Like, I'm glad you used the analogy of a video game, because I'm the same way. Where it's like, let's say, I don't know, choose a video game, what, Call of Duty, right?
Yeah.
Where so it's like, let's say you're playing Capture the Flag. You need to figure out the fastest way to get their flag and come back. So like every time you play that map, it's like you're finding a different way to get there faster, and come back faster. And every time it's different. And even if you think you found the fastest way, you're like, I wonder if I can find a faster way.
Yeah.
You've done so many different routes that you now know the map like the back of your hand.
So yeah. So I wanted to tell you. So it's so I started playing Modern Warfare 3 from 2011, but I like it. I like it because it's just there's like the solo maps. There's survival, right? And there's underground. I'm sure I'm behind, so I don't even know. I think this is a popular map, but like it's just, you know, you just survive wave after wave, and there's an infinite number of waves. You can't win. And I started playing it in like January. Like I couldn't get past 5. Now I'm like getting to like 35. But I realized really quick that like I loved this map. I loved constantly, because I've seen videos of people getting to like wave 200, so that's why I like it. I'm like, okay, good, I can play this for like years. But what I did was like very early on, I was like, I love doing this. It's a complex equation in my head, and sometimes it's like, let's try only submachine guns. And sometimes you do 10 waves and you're like, man, I didn't learn anything. Sometimes you're like, oh fuck, all it took was shifting the sentry gun so it staggered, and you're like, and all of a sudden that makes the biggest thing. And so what I started doing was like, I love doing this. It's this infinite puzzle. And I was like, instead of putting 10,000 hours into this and not getting anything out of it, because once you don't need to hear it aside from the dogs barking, those suck. I mute it and I just listen to audiobooks now. So I do it for like 6 hours in the evening. But what I'm doing is right now I'm listening to Skunkworks. I'm learning all about the F-117 and early stealth technology, all the while trying to take down the juggernauts and using a riot shield and calling in Delta Force. And I'm doing this puzzle while I'm learning. But dude, I'm not kidding you, man. I've probably listed like 20, 30 books. History of like the Soviet Union, like early computer technology in the 50s, like NSA undersea water or underwater cable tapping in the Soviet Union from like Operation what is it called? I think Ivy Bells. It's like I'm learning all this shit that I would never in a million years sit down and read. But dude, I'm listening to, I mean, every week I'm listening to 60, 70 hours of like dense audio, not podcasts like my shitty podcast, but like dense, you know, Neil deGrasse Tyson or Sapiens. And I'm learning about the evolution of the Cro-Magnon, all the while. Got to get the light machine gun, ACOG scope, get the grip, watch the angles, and I found a way to. So back to what you were saying, I wish I loved this thing that I put so much time into. I realized, why don't I take something I already love, mute it, audiobook, and then I use everything that I learned. That's how I talk in podcasts.
What's interesting though about the video game though, for you to get to that point, you had to have played it by itself with the audio and stuff so much that now you can kind of play it, mute it, and like have some of your attention to your audiobook and some of the attention to that. But what I wanted to say is that you were able to, one thing that I love getting into arguments with, because I love playing devil's advocate for everything. I get people really angry by being a devil's advocate, and if they don't know me, obviously it makes them really mad, but people who know me, they catch that like, let's just play around with this idea and see where this will go. But what people let's say that turret, you put this turret here and that made a huge difference. You probably can't explain why, and I'm sure there can be 100 people telling you, oh, on paper that wouldn't work. That makes no sense. And you're just like, I don't care what you said because it obviously works for some reason, and I'm just going to keep going with it. And it's the fact that you're doing it. So the same thing with a podcast. A lot of people are like, oh, I want to do a podcast, but I don't have, like I'm complaining I don't have a mic stand, but just I started it. But like a lot of people who never started a podcast are like, I don't have a mic, I don't have this program, I don't have this, I don't have that.
Yeah.
People who want to exercise, I don't have the headphones, I don't have the right running shoes. Oh, once I get the shirt, I'll be okay to run. You know.
Yeah.
It's like, no, just do it.
Just start.
Just start. Because I remember being in the band, like this is where I get this attitude too. I remember when I was in the band starting out, we didn't have luxurious recording gear.
Yeah.
You know, we just found out that if we put our phones behind the glass case in the corner of the room and played, it recorded well enough for us to be able to differentiate what it sounds like and listen back to it.
Yeah.
You know, and then we just like did so many we MacGyvered so many things for it to work, you know, because we didn't have money. And that's what I love too. It's like when you don't, there's another quote that I really, really like. It's I think it's something along the lines of when you're faced with limitations, you become more creative.
Yeah, necessity is the mother of invention. So
there we go. So that's what it is.
You gotta scramble.
Because you don't have the things. So that's why I love I would love to. My main goal in medicine is to become a surgeon.
Hell yeah.
And with some surgeons I've worked with, they're always like, they get angry when their specific instrument isn't on the tray for them to do the surgery.
Yeah. And
I'm just like, if you were a good surgeon, you'd be able to do it with a spoon, you know? Like,
yeah.
If need be. That's why I really, at some point, until, you know, now that I have a girlfriend and like my family cares for me and stuff, I at some point I really wanted to go to a war zone and do surgery there.
Medicine,
yeah, because that's when you have a lot of limitations, and a person's going to come to you with like their leg hanging by a piece of skin, and it's like, you need to do whatever you can to save it
now. Yeah,
I'm like, let's do it. It's like, you don't have time, you need to think now. You know? And then once you get put into a environment that has everything, you're like, this is really easy now. Like, you're not stressed, you can do all this, you have everything nearby, like you have time. Okay, this works, it's okay. Like,
when I taught myself Photoshop from 2016 to like through 2018 on I have it somewhere, an old iPhone 4, little like 4-inch wide iPhone 4. Taught myself completely, only using free apps, never once even looking at the tutorials. Finally, about a year ago, got an iPad with a stylus, and what I had to learn through my little iPhone, which the biggest canvas you could do is 6,000 by 6,000 pixels. You could only do so much. The size of the files could only be so large, and you could only process it for so long before it would just shut down. So I'd have to learn, okay, I can only do these programs. But I learned, and just fat stubby little fingers on an old screen, I had to become so creative and learn so much. And then once I got an iPad, it was like, it was going from combat medicine to some like trauma center. I got this big screen. I gotta like turn my head to see it all. I got a stylus. I can go in like 13,000 pixels wide. I can go in with a stylus and just literally remove individual. It's got processing power stronger than our 4-year-old iMac, but because I had to learn on that thing, I got to there and I was like, it's like, dude, I never would have got that good without that limitation. I'm on a 2019 MacBook with a microphone propped up on an old Garmin box, and like I said, a Pixar thing. I've got 3 laptop fans under here, and I found out because screen recording, it was getting too hot, and the fan would kick on and get really hot, and then I tried to be doing the podcast, and it would just. So I had to tinker around. So you can't see it, but I got wires everywhere. I was like, what if instead of doing one fan really powerfully, I just got a couple of these shitty from Amazon, stacked them up, put them all on the lowest power. Okay, now you can't hear it. I got this little like thermometer, like digital thing, so I can see it. And it's all about how to play it differently, and hopefully I can get this podcast going more and making money, and then I can actually get like that dope microphone you got, a stand. I can put like those sound suppression things on the walls, those like and I can I can upload it in 4K so people can see my ugly face in high resolution. But right now it's like I'm at 117 episodes, and it's like I gotta learn how to do this. And like, okay, I don't know anything about video editing. Now I got to learn how to compress it, because to upload a 3-hour podcast, screen recorded in 4K, that takes 4 days, and I'm doing a podcast tomorrow. I need the computer. So it's, how do I compress it without it looking like, 2002 E-Bombs World video? Okay, gotta find a middle ground. How do I? Gotta use iMovie. That's how the audio can get. I just press it and I click auto on the audio, but that heats up my computer like a nuclear fusion reactor. So what do? I open the windows, get some 50-degree air in here, and I got 2 fans next to it. All right, let's use physics from college. Let's use a heat transfer. Okay, gotta change the surfaces, and it's all. My friends came and saw this, and all they ever see is the flag and salute, and that's it. But they came up here and they looked at this and they're like, "What the fuck is this?" And I was like, "Dude, this
I was
looks
wondering
like
what it looked like because I told my friends like,
looks like a meth lab.
Guys, and the only thing I see is this American flag behind them.
And it looks like shit.
Anything could be going on,
Dude, it looks. Man, if FBI came in here, I'd probably be arrested for making homemade bombs, dude. There's little lights and I'm just tinkering shit, but. For right now, it doesn't make any money, so I have to use what I have, and it's
exactly, yeah.
And it's because of that I think I've become much better at it. It's maybe I have, maybe I haven't. Dude, I gotta piss again. I'll edit this out. I'm sorry.
So really quick, actually.
Do you gotta go?
I'm gonna wrap it up. So
Okay, yeah.
So this goes in so nicely with what's going on with this whole COVID thing and then we'll wrap it up.
Okay.
It's because of so many people in quarantine. I'm glad we were talking about all this because this also forced a lot of people to become creative at home, to try to entertain themselves. It's like you can only watch so much Netflix, but then you have time with your family now, and you got to find creative ways to have fun because now you can't just go to the movies, you can't just go to the park, you can't just go to wherever you want just to have fun. It's like we have to find ways to have fun together at home, and people who are willing to put in the work, then you got the lazy people who are like, well, just do whatever you want. I don't have time to think about it. They don't care. But then there's people who really care about their family and want to try to find ways to get creative. And, they have these limitations. They're like, let's do this. Let's have fun with this, And I really appreciate it. I think that's one cool thing that came out of this COVID thing where I think people were able to see how important family is and how unimportant a lot of the other things are.
Yeah.
It's like you don't need all those Amazon purchases. You don't need the most luxurious restaurant. You don't that's not what you need to live. You just need a roof over your house and food and some good people around you. And I think that's the best thing that came out of this whole quarantine.
It has. It is forced a lot. I mean, going into the podcast or not going into quarantine. I remember seeing some post by someone on the Jocko Willink subreddit, and then the Navy SEAL, and someone was like. It was like the first day of quarantine. It was like there are 2 ways you can come out of this, like overweight, overweight and angry at everything, or you can come out like you 2.0. And I was like, so I've uploaded, I think 60 podcasts since quarantine started. I'm down.
That's awesome.
I'm down 13. Yeah. Thank you. I'm down 13 pounds. I'm fucking. My meditation game is on point. I've listened to so many audiobooks. I am now a fucking assassin on Modern Warfare in my own little solo playing. But yeah, man, there are 2 ways to do it. Yeah. Much closer to my family. I'm, my mom and dad. You got to learn to put up with each other. So you got to, you got to learn your own. Like what about my little ticks? How much am I being an asshole? So
exactly, yeah. Self-reflecting. And then I always say there's you never have a problem. It's just another challenge.
Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah, There's no such thing as failure. There's losing and learning. Yeah, it's fuck yeah.
Tommy, it was a lot of fun. I'm excited to talk to you again, maybe in like a few months' time again.
Yeah, dude. You can do it.
NHS. So.
Yeah, you can do a few months, man. You don't need to be a stranger, dude. You can do a few weeks. I don't give a shit. I got people on all the time. Just I know you're a doctor. You're a busy man, but let's definitely do another one. Dr. Robert Bednarz, the patient will see you, and I will link that. And if anyone listening has any sort of interesting medical illness or lifestyle or anything, message. Leave a comment for Dr. Bednarz and do his podcast. So
great.
Hell yeah,
Thank
man.
you.
See you again. Hopefully nothing more is insane. Right now we got coronavirus, we got North Korea, China, India, and riots. Let's hope you're not coming back on in a month. And it's like, so the UFOs landed in Paraguay, which no one saw coming. So Bigfoot is here. All right, Robert. I'll see you, man.
Take care, Tom.
Peace, buddy. Stay
See you
safe.
later.
Yeah, peace.
Bye.